Are you becoming obsessed with your symptoms? Well, I want all of you to know right now, those of you, those 11 million plus individuals, as of 2019, Eustachian Tube Dysfunction is on the rise. And as of 2019, there was a study that went out that over 11 million people just in the United States alone were diagnosed with this condition. That's not counting the entire world in which I've spoken to many people all around the world who have been diagnosed with this condition. And I would love to know what that number is, but currently there is no particular set number for the entire world as of now. And for all of you out there Googling your symptoms, talking to people constantly about what you feel, wondering about what you feel, wondering about what your next meal is going to be, wondering how long you're going to sleep, how fast the life's going to move past you, how you're going to be in 10 years, how you're going to be in 1 hour. These are all thoughts. I can continue to climb these questions, these thoughts and concerns, because I felt all of them. I was living in this nightmare for 3 years, obsessively wondering about my symptoms, my thoughts, things that are not right. I cannot stress enough how just being obsessed with your symptoms is probably up there in the top three things that you're going to feel if you have eustachian tube dysfunction. And the problem is, and the reason why I can make thousands of videos about ETD is because there's thousands of things that are not being told in the doctor's office. And maybe these individuals are just not inclined to know that these kind of things are happening, being that these doctors, nurses, professionals, ENT, they are studying the anatomy, they're studying how to semi-treat things, but they're not maybe tapping into the mental, the mental world of things that's going on when you have this condition. You are going to, for those of you that are not to this phase yet, please listen up clearly and closely here. Do not be alarmed when you suddenly become a hypochondriac. Do not be alarmed when you suddenly are hyper focused on everything you feel, because if you are in the deep dark nights of this condition, the deep dark alleyway, I should say, of this condition, you are going to get to a point where Googling is going to be something you obsessively do, not just for information, not just strictly just to understand something, but just to kind of confirm if you actually are going to be okay. See, a lot of you Google things thinking that there's something wrong with you, and you use Google as a way to soothe yourself in hopes that whatever it comes back with is not as detrimental as you originally thought. It's not just strictly for just information anymore. It's to basically confirm if you're going to live or not live. And I know this sounds bizarre. I know this sounds extreme, but this is all reality. I can tell you many, many times, if you went back into my Google history uh, years ago when I had it, you would have seen all these questions that I had. Some of them were just outrageous. Some of them were just so bizarre that you would wonder, how can an individual come up with these questions? And so I can't think of all of them right now at the top of my head, but I was constantly on my phone, Googling, trying to, and it was just making things very, very drastic. And so the reason that I'm bringing this up is because this is something that a lot of you are doing. Now, I go into some of the groups. Sometimes I go into groups and I just to kind of read and see what's going on, what's being asked. And I know some of these questions are, a lot of you are desperate for responses. You're desperate for understanding. And what I want to tell you is, I'm not saying that your questions don't deserve a response or an answer. I'm telling you that a lot of the times, what you are putting into a question won't even be a factor in maybe the next day or the next week. Let me give you an example. One of the things when I had eustachian tube dysfunction is I was experiencing some weird muscle pulling right between the chest area. I was feeling this weird pulling. It felt really odd, very, very strange, and it always bothered me. And so I went and got checked out, because obviously it's in a part of the body I cannot see. Turns out everything is good internal. All the internal organs are doing good. Thank God for that. But I would continue to feel this sensation. But I also was very active. I was always working out. I was always doing things with my hands, lifting things in my job. I was always doing something. But I would still feel this every now and then. And guess what? I would feel this little pulling, this weird sensation, even when I could be sitting there feeling perfectly fine. Perfectly meaning I don't have constant pressurized feelings going on at that time. What I mean by perfectly fine is I was decent. I'll say that. And all of a sudden I think, I wonder if that pulling sensation is gone. And then I start feeling it about 10 minutes later. So what I'm saying is the things that you're typing on Google and you're putting in onto the the different groups that you're in, you're putting it out there as a post on the forums and things like that. You might not even feel that in the next day or two, and it might not even be a factor. The reason you're doing it is because when you have Eustachian tube dysfunction, this is going to sound crazy, but my theory is that there's inflammation. Clearly, there's inflammation going on near the auditory system in the inner ear, the middle ear. There's issues going on with the nervous system. There's issues going on with the nerves surrounding the eustachian tube in many areas that are connected to the brain, many areas that are connected to different parts of the body as it flows up and down through your entire system. And as you begin to build inflammation up, as you begin to get deeper into poor posture, you get deeper into all these. I had all of it. I had poor posture, all these things. You start to experiencing things in different sections of the body. And a lot of my questions were, could eustachian tube dysfunction cause heart problems? Can eustachian tube dysfunction cause foot problems? Can eustachian Of course, I was getting a bizarre of responses and articles back that had nothing to do with that. The reason why I was Googling those things is because I was praying that I would pinpoint exactly what this condition is doing to me. And at the end of the day, I realized that it's not so much that the condition is giving me all these things. It's that I'm allowing all these things to become a factor in my life because of the fact that I'm obsessively Googling, obsessively worrying about symptoms. When you start to obsessively worry about something, you're going to start emanating that feeling. You're going to start manifesting that exact feeling that you think you might have, think that you felt, instead of just feeling it and moving on. Like you feel a little crinkle in your neck, you just kind of do that and move on. You don't think about it. You don't start Googling, oh, is my neck gonna, am I gonna have some severe neck problems? Am I gonna have issues with, you're not indulging in that little tiny issue. It was getting to the point where just a simple leg cramp would make me Google, oh, what could that be? It's a leg cramp, and I start Googling that. And I want all of you to know out there that if you're there is a return to good. There is a return to positive. There is a way to get through it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of how to get through it. One of the things that you need to stop doing, and it's not going to be overnight, it's not going to be immediate. The thing you need to do is as you develop a time chart of how long this has been going on. There is a certain point in time where I'll give you my reasoning of how I got through it. After a certain amount of time, I realized that I was okay. I realized real quickly how I was able to bring this issue about by just thought alone is when I realized it wasn't real. When you can think something and it happens right away, it usually either two things. It it you're actually, whatever it is not truly there, and you're kind of allowing it to be there for whatever reason. Like I said, I didn't know why I was doing it either. But when you start to get to the point where you just think, just a thought alone is bringing it to you, it's not really there. It's not truly there because of the fact that if you're able to just bring this kind of physical sensation by just thought alone, it's deeper than just the human body. It's deeper than the physical nature of the body. It's actually a mental nature of the body. Because there is no, if you broke, let's say you broke your ankle and all of a sudden you forgot about it for whatever reason, and then you think about it and then you feel the pain, it's not going to be that way. You're going to know it's there because you're going to feel it every second of your life until it goes away, until the swelling comes down, until the healing mechanism of the broken ankle goes away. You're going to know it's there. But with eustachian tube dysfunction, you're so deep into the mind, the core of the mind. And some will say, oh, being in the mind is good. Not when it's preventing you from doing the things that you should be doing. So the mind is not the mind is not meant to be your friend. The mind is meant to be a tool. Use it as such. Do not rely on it to comfort you. Do not always rely on it to give you hugs when you need it. Do not rely on it to be logical all the time. Think of it as a tool that has no literally has no favoritism in the situation. It's a neutral tool in the body that's going to fire and wire all day. It's firing, wiring all day, thousands and by beyond thousands, 10,000s of thoughts a day. The best way to get over this over obsession of symptoms and problems is to get beyond the analytical mind. Once you get beyond the analytical mind, you tap into a certain sense of reality where you only are focused and hyper focused on what's actual and not what's possibly, because now you're perpetuating something that's not even a source or a main factor in your life. You're actually getting so deep into the mind that you're resonating this this imaginary thought that you've been thinking constantly over and over and over and over and over. You're turning that thing up. You're just prepping yourself to continuously think about what's not really there. Eventually the mind starts to become very habitual with that. And then once you become habitual with that thought process, you're going to continue, the mind is going to seek reassurance from the body because you continuously look for something to be wrong. Therefore, something of the body's going to fire off something to to tell the mind, hey, you're right. There is something. There should be something wrong. So what I'm saying is, you got to get beyond and over the analytical mind and not think about things that are wrong. What I did as a tactic is that I said, well, look, it's been about 2 years now. If something was going to happen and I continue, if something was going to happen, I think it probably would have happened by now. And all the tests that I've done, all the tests that I've had, I think it might have would have been seen by now. All the labs, the CTs, the MRIs. Once you get all those things out of the way, and you know, because I'm not telling you to ignore things either. That's not what this video is about. It's not to ignore anything. It's to be aware of things, but put it into its proper folder. Put what you feel and what you think into its separate folder, and do not let the two cross. Do not let the mind and the body get too connected, too tied up, because then anything you feel becomes a thought. Every thought becomes a response, and then you're in this never-ending battle between the mind and the body, and the mind and the body fighting against each other is never a good thing. And so, if all of you out there watching this video, I apologize ahead of time if I was very analytical in this video, but I need it to be. If it's very spiritual in this video, I need it to be. All of you out there that are feeling what you feel it for a reason, but that reason isn't always dangerous, and that reason is not forever. You need to do your absolute best to fight what you feel, and by fighting, mean that you're not going to be subject to what you feel in a way where it modifies your mindset and your way of doing things. Once you become that person that is beyond what you think you felt and focused and hyper focused on what is actually reality of the body and the mind and the spirit and the soul, you will start to become stronger than these so-called symptoms, and you'll stop hyper focusing on all of those things and start to begin the healing process. Then the healing process begins. Think of it this way: you survive the roller of things, of obstacles. You're in this labyrinth of danger, and you've gone through all of those things. Now you're in the kingdom. You're in the kingdom, and now everyone bows down to you because you've done your due diligence. The body is now surrendering to you because you have control over. You are the chief operating officer of the body, and you need to take control back again. The the control has been transitioned. It's been moved, modified, and restricted, and now you have to take control of it once again. And there's no doubt that all of you out there are going to one day do that as well, but you need to be aware that it's even happening, because if you're not aware of it's happening, you're not going to know what to change or how to change it. So this video is really strictly to give you the awareness of what's happening with this obsessive Googling, the obsessive symptom concerns. All these things are all a part of the process, but it takes you as the chief operating officer to get in control, take your seat in the Oval Office, tell your body to chill out. You're going to be okay. Because if doing things makes you okay, if you can go outside and do something fun and you're okay, and then you come back inside and you suddenly don't feel good because you thought about the fact that you don't feel good, there's something you're doing, not your body. It's not your body, it's you. You're going to feel bad wherever you go, whatever you do. If you were truly going to feel bad, if you truly had an issue, a stripped wire, a broken connection, you would feel bad in the middle of a pool full of money, surrounded by glorious things that you love. You would still feel bad. So if you feel okay doing something that makes you happy, but then you change the chemistry of the feel good by just simply thinking of the unknown ahead and being hypersensitive to every little, adjustment that's going on in your body, that's when we need to take control again. And when you do, you'll know it. And you'll stop the Googling, you'll stop worrying, you'll stop telling everybody what's going on. It's okay to be reassured by certain people, but when it's becoming an issue and a tyrant in your life or a hurdle that you constantly have to jump over, it's time to make some changes. I hope this video was very helpful for you. If it was, please take time to subscribe to the channel. I try to bring content as often as possible. But in the meantime, I'm going to step out of the Jaye Wellness Studio and leave you in good hands with this video. Like anything else, folks, we're here to simply go back to the basics. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.